Hello, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this simple video, I'm going to show you how you can easily animate the placeholder attribute value in your input field. As you can see the live example on your screen, we are having our placeholder value that is changing on the fly without refreshing the page. It's going to be very simple. In this tutorial, we're using JavaScript to come up with this. Then as an extra tip, I'll also show you how you can easily customize your placeholder value. As you can see, by default, a browser gives you a light gray color in your input field as the placeholder value. But as you can see for this tutorial, we are having our light teal color covering the placeholder attribute. Out of what? Sorry for that. Then when the user focuses into this input field, it slides away. Those are the extra tips that I'm going to give you in this simple tutorial, but the main focus is how can we change this attribute value dynamically using JavaScript. So I'm going to refresh this page and we lose everything and start from scratch with you. So as you can see, when we focus into this input field, nothing happens and our placeholder value is in a gray. That's what I'm going to be showing you in this simple tutorial, and the main part that you have to focus on is this form. The rest, they are just text. I just wanted them to be there to feel like a real web page that is scrollable. So we're going to be designing this input field, and I already have some basic styles applied to the page. This one, it's the one responsible for centering this content, leaving some equal width this side and this side, plus centering the form. This is not the advised way of centering things, but I just wanted to do it for this tutorial, and also giving some extra padding to the input field and the width, which is not necessary, but for this tutorial I decided to do it. I just wanted you to see it clearly on the page. I have two files, style.css and main.js. Main.js is empty because it's the one that I'm going to be showing you or taking you step by step. I already included it in the index.html page or file. So when we put this side, let's say an alert, we say 1, refresh the page, that means our file is fully linked. So what we are going to first listen to, we want to listen for the document load. So document.event listener, and the type of event that we want to listen to is DOM content loaded. So we want the document to load fully for it to execute the code that is going to be inside here. And let us first switch back to our index.html file. For us to target this element or the input element, we need to give it an ID, and I'm going to call this one OCC engine. So IDs are user defined. You can call it anything you want, query, anything, box, stuff like that. So this is what I have named this ID. If you want to follow along, you can also use the same ID, but they are user defined. You can use them so long as you reference to them in the main.js file or any file that we'll be creating for this tutorial. Then this side, I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to call it query. I've decided to call this query. You can call it anything you want. Then you want to assign it to document.querySelector. And we are going to select the ID, and then we are going to select the ID of OCC. This keyboard keeps on changing keys, I don't know why. So we are going to get that ID that is on this input field, OCC engine. Then after there, we're going to create a function, and I'm going to call it placeholder animation. So functions are also user defined. You can call it anything you want. Then inside this function we are going to use the set timeout function that is going to run after some specific time specified. So we are going to pass into this, and this one takes in two parameters. So the first is the function that is going to run, then we specify the time or the period that we want it to take while running. So the first one is going to be 2 seconds, 2 milliseconds. And what we want to do here, we want to use this variable that we created here, query dot set attribute function, and this one attribute, and this one takes in two parameters. First is the type of attribute that we want, and we want the placeholder. Then the value of the placeholder, so it's going to be search for, then our columns, full columns, then we say like HP. Let's save this and see what is happening in the browser. So when we refresh after 2 milliseconds, we may have a problem here in our code. Oh, I get it. Then for us to execute the code that is inside here, we need to call the placeholder animation function. So we come here below the function, then we call the placeholder function for it to be executed. Let us refresh the page. After 2 milliseconds, we should see search for PHP. Now I guess you know what's next, because this is the beginner friendly tutorial. This is not advised when you are handling something big, but you're going to get the same set timer function, paste it here, and we only change here, let's say HTML. Then we are going to be taking a sequence of 2 milliseconds, then this one will be 4, paste this one again, and this one is going to be 6. I'm going to create, and this one let's say 8, and this one is going to be CSS JavaScript. Let us refresh the page and see if we have in our simple animations PHP, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But as you can see, when it reaches JavaScript, it stops. We want it to repeat the cycle over and over again. We don't want it to reach JavaScript and stop there. And to do that, we just go below where we called the animation, or we executed the animation, and we use the set interval. And what set interval takes in, oh, my keyboard again. So set interval, it takes in the function that you want to repeat. So what this interval function does, it repeats the cycle. It keeps on repeating the cycle depending on the specified time. And this one, we are going to put the name of the function, placeholder function, and also the time that we want it to loop through again. So may put again 8 milliseconds. So let us refresh and see PHP, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then go back to PHP, stuff like that. So I guess you can see how it's very simple using JavaScript. This is the only code that you need to write. If you have to take out these other functions, this is the simple code that you need to write. But then, as you can see, we are just repeating ourselves. Apart from this, you can decide to put these values in an array if you are dealing with an advanced site and be getting these values from an array, which we are not going to do in this tutorial because I wanted it to be beginner friendly. I just wanted you to see the feel and touch how things are done using the set time out function and the set interval. It's very simple. Then as an extra tip, I promised you how we are going to be customizing this input field, the placeholder value, giving it our own color that we need and the simple animation that you saw in the beginning. And to do that, we are going to take use of our style.css file. And here we are going to be using the non-standard placeholder selector. We shall start by using those double pseudo selectors, and we are going to make a web prefix in case some browsers don't read it. Then we specify the input field. So this is what they call CSS specificity. I don't know if I'll pronounce it well. CSS specificity, stuff like that. Hell no. So guys, we're going to write this. So this is a web prefix in case some browsers don't read it. There are very many. There's MS, Opera, so stuff like that. So we are using this WebKit prefix. Then we select the input element, and inside this is the attribute that we want to style. And to do that, it's going to be very simple. We need to specify our color, and I have my own color here. It's hash 007E91. So this is the color that I want in. As you can see, it has that light teal color. Then also I'll just add its opacity. In case somebody is to view it in Mozilla, you will see it clearly. So Mozilla has some low opacity, so I'll set it to 1 in case a user is to visit your site using Mozilla. Then let us also target that event when the user focuses into the input field. We shall use focus as the pseudo selector. I wonder why this one keeps on popping up. Then we use that non-standard selector and we say WebKit. Then we select the input field plus the attribute that we want to style, which is this placeholder. Let me scroll up. Then for this, we are going to use the transform property, transform, and we are going to use the translate, and it's going to be 110%. We are going to add some little bit of transition. You forgive me for the noise in the background. Then we are going to say all, and that's the property. Then the time it's going to be taking to scroll to disappear or slide away. We're going to use 35 milliseconds. Then the timeout function, not timeout function, the transition timing function is going to be is in out. Let us refresh this and see. Refresh the page. When we focus into the input field, it slides away. Very simple. So this is what you have to write, these two lines of code, this one and this. Then our JavaScript file is very simple. As you can see, if I'm to zoom out, we are just repeating this set time out function after some specified period of time. So after 2 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds, 6 milliseconds, 8 milliseconds, then we use this set interval to be repeating the cycle over and over again. So when the user comes on your page, you'll be having this int. So you can search for CSS, JavaScript, PHP in case you have those things on your server that the user can search and get. I may also apply this on my live website, ostoncodecypher.com. So make sure to check it out, the website. I'll also be putting this source code that you have seen in this tutorial on that site. So guys, subscribe to the channel, like the video, if possible, share it on different social medias with your friends who are beginners in JavaScript. Peace. I'll see you in the next tutorials.